But Rwanda taught me something different, that justice without reconciliation is not real justice.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is hollow if it doesn't come from the heart. And Rwanda showed a concept which the world still has a lot to learn from. There's in the Bible a passage about how we should love the neighbor as we love ourselves. And the true meaning of that idea is that you cannot love your neighbor unless you love yourself.
Interesting.
The same with the forgiveness and forgiving yourself.
Because
So
of
what's
the
going on
intent.
actually in Congo DRC is a conflict which started 30 years ago. I also have a very, very pessimistic view on the fact that it will never end as long as there are natural resources that the Western world are benefiting from. We Rwandans have to be very, very grateful about the process of reconciliation in Rwanda because we wouldn't be where we are today without that process. Gacaca, reconciliation, the storytelling, yearly Kwibukas.
All right, my people, my name is Deejay Yash, and I'm here just to tell you that this is going to be good and fun. I hope you stay tuned and subscribe and give me a comment of what you're going to think about the show at the end. So here in the studio of Gospel TV Africa, I'm with my brother, my mentor, and my best friend. I've known this guy for a long time now, and we've walked journey to journey. And the beautiful thing is, he's a writer, he's a man of many hearts. So let him introduce himself to the audience.
Thank you, my friend, and I'm very happy to be here once again. And some of you have seen me before on TV and in the streets of Kigali, of course. I'm Thomas Ramba. I'm a Rwandan. I'm a Finnish citizenship. I had dual citizenship, and I've been in Rwanda on and off for 20 years. But since I retired 4 years ago, I live in Rwanda.
Only 4 years ago, in 20 years?
I worked here for 5 years, lived here for 5 years, worked on other missions all over the world.
Right.
And since retirement, I came back to Rwanda because I love this country.
Yeah, he's a Rwandan nationality. He has a dual nationality. You guys should know. If you meet him on the street, don't try to speak in Rwanda thinking he won't understand. He will understand whatever you're saying. And that's one thing I think in the international culture, people should know that just because you don't look like any other person, it does not mean like you can't speak like the other person. So talking of you being a retired, what was your profession before you retired?
I worked for the National Bureau of Investigation in Finland, the equivalent to Rwanda Investigation Bureau. I for the last 30 years there, I was Detective Chief Superintendent, working on conflicts all over the world, serious crimes, big accidents, kidnapping cases in Yemen, Afghanistan, Somalia. I worked in 21 African countries. And what you just touched here about understanding, I feel a bit ashamed of myself. I've been seriously for a long time in Rwanda, and I still don't speak Kinyarwanda as I would like to do. But I can with confidence and with good knowledge tell that one of the first things you need to do is to learn a language.
Yes. To make sure that you don't go offbeat or anything about that. It's exactly. That you can really, not fluently, but accurately, introduce yourself,
and you
communicate.
Can always use your hands.
Yeah. You see, they are using gestures to communicate, and then you will use signs.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So you've been a detective for how long, and what was your purpose when you joined the force?
47 years in that profession.
Some people like me were not even born by that time, but it's good that he's here. So he's going to catch up with us, or we are going to catch up with him through the historical moment of what life is all about in those 47 years, plus his life now in Kigali. So tell us more about the other heart that you have as a gift or work or any relations with that.
I think I should start telling at the time when I started working.
Let's go back to the baby boomer story.
Okay, the baby boomer story. Actually, I was born at the time immediately after the Second World War, and why it's called baby boomers is simply because when the men returned from the front line, they started to establish families, and that's how the world population started to grow. Now in the Western world, the population birth rate is going down
again.
except in Africa.
Ah,
Here we are, the population growth is
we are still green and clean.
green and clear. But at that time when I started working, there was no computers, definitely no mobile phones. So, and passwords, they were just spoken words between spies and soldiers.
The word password.
A lot has changed.
Okay.
And but I had to have a heart for so many things, and one of them being arts and culture, and that's where I put very much of my time in Rwanda.
Okay.
To be part of that scene and to see if I can contribute and how I can contribute. I have a lot of experience. My passion is photography, and that's some of the subjects I teach. I wrote a book which is coming out in September. It's about my work, 50 years in the police force, but it's also very much about Rwanda, and reconciliation and forgiveness. And how justice could and should be done after conflicts. Yeah, and in my family we have a dog who gives me busy time, and of course we live by Lake Kivu, so I go and swim and
you finally have the real shower.
I have the real shower.
All right, so you talked about the book you have and coming up, and you have a chapter about forgiveness and reconciliation.
Yeah.
What was it like? How did you gather the information, and what was your heartfelt moment when you was doing the same evaluation and talk?
Practically, that very long chapter in my book called "We Are All Rwandans." Is of course to tell the history about the genocide against the Tutsi, and how the world reacted, not at the time when the genocide was going on, but only afterwards. So I'm in that category of post-reaction, where we try to clean up our bad conscience and come in and to show the form of justice we are used to in the Western world.
Yeah.
But Rwanda taught me something different. That justice without reconciliation is not real justice.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is hollow if it doesn't come from the heart. And Rwanda showed a concept which the world still has a lot to learn from. So I dedicated much of the book to the genocide, what happened. I tell a few stories about people I met in that work. I was actually working on a particular genocide case against the Tutsi. An individual called Thomas Ramba, who was acting in Nyaruguru district, and during the genocide, he fled to Finland.
Oh,
so he was discovered there, and then we had the obligation to work on that, and that brought me first time in Rwanda.
okay.
I also write in my book about the conflict going on in Congo. And I actually experienced the last war, which was going on over in DRC, very personally. Yes, I was there just a few hundred meters away, and I decided to stay there because I felt that leaving from that place, even if there's a risk of getting injured, it would have been a betrayal. And I'm happy I stayed. I dedicate part of the book to that conflict and try to explain to the Western world that what's going on and why it's going on there. And there's lots of misconceptions. One of them being that Rwanda is directly involved in the conflict. Yeah, the book is coming out in September.
All right.
It's come out in English as an audiobook, as an ebook. So it will be available.
So you talked about the conflict between Rwanda and Congo, and the
actually, I didn't talk about conflict about Rwanda and Congo. I talked about the conflict in Congo.
Yeah, that's the point. People, that's the analogy they use when they say, "Oh, there's a conflict between Rwanda and Congo," and I'm like, "No, we don't have any conflict because people are coming in.
Yes,
we don't chase anybody out."
Yeah.
So what is the message that you think Europeans should really know, and the Western world in general, about that conflict, particularly in Congo, as an investigator?
We have a huge problem about the life on Earth today, and that is that we can't rely on any information unless we check it and double check it.
Very.
The misinformation which is out there, disinformation is out there, the propaganda is out there. And it's very difficult for people to really understand what's going on. I live in Rubavu, and just a few days back I talked to young guys on the market, and they said that the Ebola is not real, which is going on. That it's a story which is just created. And I asked them, how do you know? And they said, yeah, we saw it on the internet, on the social media. And this is a good description of the fact that people, wherever they are, in Africa, in Europe, they don't get the full picture.
Because
so
of
what's
the
going on
internet.
actually in Congo DRC is a conflict which started 30 years ago. And I also have a very, very pessimistic view on the fact that it will never end as long as there are natural resources that the Western world are benefiting from.
People that are interested in the natural resources than the people itself.
It feeds their chances to be there.
Right. So now you had it. It's not about us. It's about what people think is necessary for the Western world. So they want to go dig and then go out. So, but the truth is, forgiveness can never happen and reconciliation can never happen unless you acknowledge your own self seeking revenge or unforgiveness. So in the book you talked about reconciliation, but also you mentioned something about self-forgiving. What is done to you when you learn about people not forgiving themselves first and then to extend the forgiveness to others? You mentioned one of the stories in the back of that chapter you have, specifically for Rwandan names. Could you elaborate on that?
Of course, and what you're raising is very important, and it's an interesting psychological phenomena. My relatives, my grandparents, all were involved in the fight of the independence of Finland in 1917. Many of them participated in the war against Soviet Union during the Second World War.
Yeah.
Many were injured, some of them died. And those who survived, I still remember it vividly, that they could not forgive themselves for the fact that they survived.
Ooh.
They somehow carried the guilt of thinking that they should have died there to prove that they were doing what they could.
Something right.
I've seen that same thinking in other conflict areas. I worked on the conflict in the Balkans for the War Crimes Tribunal in The Hague. I worked on the blood diamond cases in West Africa. And of course I worked on the genocide case in Rwanda against the Tutsi. Especially there's one woman's story I can never forget, where she had lost her family. And in the midst of the time when she was trying to protect herself, she found a baby whose mother had been killed, and she took that baby on her back. And one night, she and many hundred others decided to walk the short distance from Nyaruguru over to Burundi. And of course there were killing patrols all over, and they had to be walking silent, make sure that they will not be discovered.
Yeah.
Then there was a woman next to this lady who also carried a baby, and the baby started to cry. And the leader of that group came up to them, took the baby from her back, put the baby in the river, and they continued. The lady who told me this story, and whom I know very well, she said that she forgave during the Gachacha. She has been forgiving all those who were participating in the genocide, all those who killed her own family. But she was never able to forgive herself for the fact that she didn't save that baby. And that's a guilt she's going to carry with her all her life. It's the story itself is sad, but also this inability to forgive yourself is something very traumatic and very hard to cope with, and there's no remedy. There's actually no real system of trying to overcome that feeling. I didn't see it in my relatives. I didn't see it in many Rwandans here.
So what should we do then? Because I think it's a prison state of mind. It's a prison state of mind. If you can't forgive yourself, then it's so hard to articulate the forgiveness towards others. You might think you've forgiven them, but because you have not healed from inside, I think it's one of the worst case scenario where you say, I've forgiven you, I've released you from my heart, but it's still a prison of your thoughts, a prison of your idea, a prison of what you played in, a role you played in my life. And so I'm wondering from that perspective, what should be done to the kids of those two people? Because there is a perpetrator and there's a survivor, but their kids kind of are innocent on both sides. So what should be done to make sure that they don't repeat the same history?
I think it should be also mentioned. There's in the Bible a passage about how we should love the neighbor as we love ourselves. And the true meaning of that idea is that you cannot love your neighbor unless you love yourself.
Interesting.
The same with the forgiveness and forgiving yourself. That yes, you have to be able to forgive your neighbors, and only then you can forgive yourself. But in this case, as I mentioned, it's a process that might never happen. Kwibuka is very important for Rwandans.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the rest of the world has already forgotten the genocide.
Existed.
They are reminded occasionally once a year about the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, but the life has gone on. Unfortunately, humanity has not learned anything, not from the genocide in Rwanda against the Tutsi, not from the Holocaust.
Yeah.
We've seen even now, we're talking about what's going on in Palestine.
Yeah.
It's a genocide. Other conflict areas. We have a tendency to forget the past and kill each other
Over and over.
over and over again. But let's focus on Rwanda. I think that we, no matter how many years has passed since the genocide, we need to keep talking. We need to keep reminding the young generations that this was a real fact that happened in Rwanda.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, maybe someday, long time in the future, it might happen.
Yeah, because that's my concern. When I think about the way young generations here behave, it seems like they don't really see that this country was restored upon blood. People shed their blood so that they can enjoy the freedom they have right now. So when I see young people really having fun beyond and the extravaganza, I'm like, bro, yes, you can have fun, but you should also know that someone paid the price so you can sleep and enjoy your life right now you have. It does not mean that you take it for granted, or if you forget, there's a tendency of repeating that in the near future. And so now that we know that it's possible, it's achievable, but how do we do it? We should speak about it. We should keep addressing about it. But more importantly, we should also bring people, young people and old people, like senior citizens, to engage in the conversations so they at least have a background and the broad picture of what happened versus what they read in the books or what they read on the internet. Because most of the time what we read on the internet is what the people want us to see. Because someone created something and they say, okay, you cannot watch this over 20 minutes. There's no 21 minutes after this. So that 1 minute after you didn't see maybe carried the weight of what you could have learned. And so my point now is that we should give more people the experience to talk about what is happening or what happened in their lives. So they stretch a little bit of history in the real life. So people will not just learn about American history or European history, you know. America was founded in 1776. Then what? Then now Trump is bringing something people never expected. The division, we know the East Asia and Minor Asia are no good friends with Americans. We know that history is for clarity, everyone knows. But why would you bring that in the real life now? You kill people because they are born that way. Because they have something you can't have. You want to take them out. You can't even replace them. You can't even put your people there. But you want to kill them. And so if people don't understand the hatred that is in the people, they will still repeat the same history. And that brings me to the idea of your book. You mentioned about something that can catch the eye of many and the ear of many when you talked about the reconciliation. Now that we understand what happened, how should we reconcile and move on without repeating the same patterns of the history?
We Rwandans have to be very, very grateful about the process of reconciliation in Rwanda, because we wouldn't be where we are today without that process. Gacaca, reconciliation, the storytelling, yearly Kwibukas. And I've been working in more than 20 African countries. In conflict zones, I've seen the continent all over. And trust me when I'm saying there's no country like Rwanda in Africa. It's clean, it's safe, there's economic progress, there's equality, all those good things that are worth living for. No corruption. And we don't have to cross many borders before we see total different kind of life. I worked on the blood diamond cases in West Africa, in Sierra Leone and Liberia. They also had a conflict. There's nothing that I can compare these two countries with. Still corrupted, no economic progress. The infrastructure is down. So we have to be proud, but we can keep this state of mind and we can keep this country on the right path only if we don't forget the past.
Sure.
And of course, don't believe everything you find on the social media. Be critical. You have to think with your own brain. Don't believe in ghetto stories.
Yes.
They will devastate your mind.
Right. And I think that's a good take home, that not everything that is published on internet is real. You have to find your own source of information.
And don't believe in AI.
That's it. That's it. So we are now part of the story that AI is killing our brain, thinking everything is more magical and fiction than ever. So you've now crossed the line of becoming more European. Now you're more of African. So what is your legacy in giving young Africans and other people in the aspect of education? Now that you're doing, you've been into investigation, now you're transitioning into education through photography, storytelling. And so how is that transforming your life and other people in general?
Actually, this is what I've always been. I grew up in a family full of artists. And I was the black sheep in the family.
You looked white in the black.
I always knew that I had some sort of a talent when it comes to photography and also writing.
Yeah.
But I chose the path of law. So now I'm back to my roots.
After something like
50
40
years.
years. You guys, I want to tell you something. You better find your gift before the gift finds you, because it took him 50 years to understand that he's the photographer, he's a storytelling. He's been a lawyer, he's been an investigator, he's been a traveler, but now finally he's back to his roots. So you better find your space before it finds you on time. Let's catch up.
I feel so happy about this state of mind and the life I'm having here, because now I can do the things that I actually should have done 50 years ago. So I'm trying to do my best. I try to educate. I try to give my experience. I share my knowledge, let's say, about photography, storytelling with the camera, and I'm writing my second book now, and book is part of the storytelling.
Yes.
And not only that I do it in my daily life, but I also now took an active role teaching photography at the Mashirika Arts Academy, and my commitment for there is for a period of time over.
So as a dean in the area of education, what's the biggest challenge in education in our days, plus the AI part of it?
The biggest challenge for Rwanda and Rwandans is that, and Africans in general, because Mashirika is not only for Rwandans, that we need to constantly find fundraising and get scholarship opportunities. That's the biggest challenge. We have good education, we have good curriculums, we have good programs, and what we really need is to find funding to offer the scholarships, because there's so much untapped talent in Rwanda and East Africa. We want them to get an opportunity to make a path as a career in.
All right. So you mean every African can achieve their dream through your academical and strategy plan, but the challenge is the fundraising of the scholarships, or the education fees too high.
What we can't teach is imagination. What we can't teach is the people to become artists. They have to discover themselves.
Yes.
But we give them the opportunity, the techniques, the best foundation, the important foundation, what it requires to do good work.
Okay.
We want more students. We want to offer the opportunity for them to have a scholarship.
Okay.
We will cover the rest.
Okay, great. So talking about art, now we are going through art season and summer season, and everything through. What is your upcoming events when it comes to art? How do you relate your profession now versus the entertainment industry in Rwanda?
I can never stop talking about how much talent there is in Rwanda, and as every artist, everyone who is in this business in Rwanda knows that it's difficult to find a platform, to find a space where to show what you go for. So now what we have in our mind, that we would, in February next year, organize an event we called the Night of the Arts, Culture, Sports,
In Kigali.
in Kigali. And that would be an event in Kigali city in different locations where people could come in and show what they go for.
Okay.
And we wish also a very big participation from abroad.
Okay.
For people from abroad to see that Rwanda can be a hub for all kinds of forms of art.
Right. So you're talking about Rwanda as the hub of content of different things.
Yes.
But it's also an international corporation. How do you relate the weather of Rwanda versus your event in that period of the year?
Timing, of course, is very important. Most of this would be outdoors.
From Gisenyi, you come when it's raining. You have an event, it's raining.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Okay, so right now, we have planned this event to take place in February in next year.
So now, the entertainment part of Rwanda is really welcoming everything and everyone on the platform when it comes to showcasing what they have as a talent, like you said. But I'm concerned about people that do not know exactly the full picture about Rwanda, what would you tell those people who think that Rwanda is still maybe like 20 years behind or something when it comes to technology, when it comes to security and other purposes?
There are still too many people who have a totally wrong picture of Rwanda. They think that there's no security, there's corruption, it's unsafe, and there are still dead people on the street. On the other hand, the reality is that Visit Rwanda has been a kind of successful marketing story. And let's take as an example the bicycle competition.
UCI.
Yeah, which showed the real picture of Rwanda. So there are less and less people who have this
concept and
wrong picture of Rwanda. I think the bigger challenge is that there are still too many people who don't regard Africa worth to visit.
And I think it's because of the international TVs and broadcasting that are still showing fake and inaccurate pictures and videos.
A good example, we have this conflict going on in DRC, where Rwanda is mentioned in every second sentence, and many countries have on their embassy sites warnings that don't travel to Rubavu. There's a risk of getting involved in a conflict. It's that kind of small message is disturbing the reality and the real picture of Rwanda.
So tell us, as a native now of Rubavu and the neighboring area of Congo, is it safe or it's not safe to travel to that side?
I think the biggest risk to travel to Rubavu is the road from Kigali to Rubavu.
4 hours.
You know, there's always kind of accidents, but I used to go to DRC every now and then just to have a walk, and now the border is closed again because of the Ebola, which is real.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean.
But beside the Ebola story, and before it came in the picture, you would walk. You would walk outside your house, cross that small border called the Big Barrier, and then you go for
Grand Barrier and Petite Barrier.
That's it.
I walk. I show my ID, my passport. I walk. It's like going just on a walk in the town.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And there's no person to stop you, to ask you to bother you in any ways.
No. What bothers me is that the motor taxis in Goma don't have a helmet for the passenger. That's the bad thing.
You just reminded me about Uganda.
yeah, that's a good example.
Well, but by the way, why can't their law specifically protect the clients?
Yeah.
Because they can't protect the clients. They're just there on the outside. They don't care.
They don't care.
What is happening in their minds? Anyways, good thing that you clarify that Rwanda and Congo borders are okay. You can walk in and out. Expect nothing to happen to you. Only that now Ebola is coming along. But have you ever seen any case from Congo to Rwanda with the Ebola issue?
No. Actually, Rwanda is doing very well, and as usual, even during the COVID, the measures and the policy to protect the country was exceptionally good.
Okay.
At the time when the COVID was very, very active, I worked in Western Africa, and I could compare what Rwanda was doing compared to what the Western African did. We are doing well. We are doing everything we can to protect it from coming. You go to a shop, you are asked to wash your hands. Those small things just shows. Yes. Rwanda is always so organized in these kind of areas.
Right.
And we can't afford to have a pandemic in Rwanda.
Never. Dear viewers, you should know that if they say the restriction areas are this and that, you should follow the routine, because for your own safety, for the other people's safety, you should wash your hands You clean your everything that it has to be touched by someone else. So you protect you and you protect your neighbor. So now we are going back to the original concept of this thing called AI. People have misconception about AI. They think that it's a Illuminati. They think it's a 666, whatever the word is. Mm-hmm. Tell us, you've been in the investigation bureau for some good time, and maybe you tried AI, and maybe you've worked along AI.
Yeah.
Tell us about the background of AI. When did you start like experiencing this thing with the AI issue?
I always been kind of in the front when it comes to new innovations. So when the first personal computer came to the police force in Finland, I was the first person to have it.
When was that?
It was 1980. Was it 82? I think. Yeah, and I like to be innovative. I like to see how I can improve myself, my work, my surrounding. So when the AI came in the market, I was there. I immediately started to see what it can benefit, how it can benefit my daily work, my routines, and of course I immediately also saw the dangers. AI is something which is coming. It will never go away. Actually, it will just change our way of communicating, how to do our work. Unfortunately, there's the risk that it will replace some routine work. Meta, the mother company of Facebook, for example, just recently said that they will kick out 10% of the workforce because of AI.
Those are families that are losing their jobs.
Yeah, it's terrible. But again, on the other hand, as computers, also the AI will give new opportunities.
Okay.
So and the humanity has always found itself to develop, to take a step further
and adjust.
Yeah, just let us hope that we humans stay on top of all that. Yeah. I use AI for a number of reasons. Let's say I want to do a presentation. I use AI to create my visual. I use AI to correct my word text, the grammar, all that good. And so if we want to be on top of that, we should learn AI so that we know the dangers and we are able to identify AI-produced material.
Right.
Unfortunately, when you go on Instagram, you go on YouTube, half of the material nowadays, the reels there are just AI-produced.
Yeah, the advertisement is too more of AI.
I think the most difficult task to deal with AI is the ethical part.
That's it.
And we still have so much to learn.
A long way to go.
A long way to go.
Yeah. But a good thing that now we're talking about AI with a good concept. But there are these Christians here, they think everything is evil and satanic, and what's the message to those people? If a pastor's scrolling on the computer, they're trying to project, they go like, that's evil, that's demons. And
yeah, we can see evilness in everything.
Okay.
But there's nothing more bigger evil than discrimination and racism and violence against other human beings. So yes, you can spend time in thinking that is AI a product of the devil, while I keep thinking that what can we do to make the humanity more civilized and we stop killing each other.
So that brings me to the next question. Should we not allow things to come because we don't like it, or should we make it happen because that's the way it is, that's the way forward?
Somehow your question, I understand it, and it's a good question, but at the same time it's totally irrelevant.
Okay.
Because whatever happens, we can't prevent it.
That's it.
We, as an individual, as a group, as a society, as a community, we can take care of ourselves, but what happens outside,
it's out of our control.
It's out of our control.
Yes. I was raising this question because most people who see AI, they think it's something evil. But yes, there's part of evil in every kind of situation on earth.
Yeah.
But the very best way to look at things is the positive vibe that you can ever have to something. Then you walk towards that goal to aim at the right thing in the right time. Maybe the right thing will bring you to the right person, and then things
Exactly.
will go along.
Yes.
Yes, as we come to an end of this first phase, what is your message? In both books that you're writing, in your own point of view, on your own life here, and then maybe in the general concept of life, what would you give another advice on the young generations like the Gen Z and the Alphas?
When I talk to my grandchildren and my children, I always tell them that you need to learn how to communicate.
Yes.
Also in different languages, because the more you are able to communicate, the more we further this civilization, dialogue instead of violence.
Yes.
And also the more we can communicate, the more we can understand what people are telling you or what we see on the media. And to be critical.
Yes.
Without ability to communicate, we cannot be critical. That's my first advice.
Yes.
Definitely.
Right. Thank you so much for coming. And I know that it's been a long time not seeing each other. It's been good having you here. And maybe next time when we catch up, we'll talk more of what's been on. And then finally, we'll come up with something very accurate with the project that is happening next year. And
While it's raining.
while it's not raining, let's catch up on the next episode. So thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time. My name is Deejay Yash, and I was with
Thomas Ramba.
and Ramba is a long Rwandan name that sustains something called live long. If you don't know what it means, Ramba, it's like the way it's written, Ramba, and it stands for live long. I don't know how long he's gonna live, but definitely he's still living longer. So bless you, and I'll catch up soon. God bless.